Hello students, uh, from this session we are starting the unit 4th. We have rescheduled unit 5 before the unit 4. So we have completed the unit 5 before unit 5. The reason is that unit 5 has the uh, technical topics like hyperledger fabric, Coda, Ripple. So technical uh, technologies that we want to finish first, and then I wanted to discuss the applications of the blockchain. So in this unit we have to study the enterprise applications of blockchain. We have to study where this blockchain technology can be used in industries and various financial organization. So that applications we have to discuss how the blockchain can benefit in cross-border payments, and then KYC, mortgages, healthcare, such type of applications that we have to discuss in the unit 4. So students, you can see the syllabus of unit 4. Unit 4 contains enterprise applications of blockchain. So various applications of blockchain we have to discuss in unit 4. So you can see we have to study the application of blockchain in cross-border payments, how we can use the uh, blockchain for cross-border payments. Then how we can use the blockchain for KYC verification, food security, mortgages over the blockchain. Then how the trade will happen, blockchain enabled trade. Then supply chain financing and identity on the blockchain. So these are the various applications of the blockchain that we have to study in the unit 4. So we are starting with the cross-border payments. So first we have to understand what is called cross-border payments. Cross-border payments are transactions where the pay and transaction recipient are based in separate countries, where the sender and receiver resides in different countries. So the transactions can be between individuals residing at different countries. The transaction can be between individuals, companies, or banking institutions who are looking to transfer funds across the territories. So cross-border payments are nothing but the transfer of funds uh, across the different countries. So that is the concept of cross-border payments. So first we have to understand what are the challenges of cross-border payments, and how the blockchain can be used for cross-border payments, and how blockchain enabled cross-border payments are better than the traditional way of transferring the funds. Uh, that we have to study. So you can see the challenges of cross-border payments. So sending an international payment through established banking channels is complex multi-step process that involves several intermediaries. So if we do the transfer of funds through the traditional method of banking, then that process is complex process. It is a multi-step process that involves several intermediate agencies, and also it requires a considerable amount of fee because every element in the cross-border payments, international payments, requires a payment of fees. That transfer of funds is costly, and it requires a more time also. So how the cross-border payments are processed in traditional banking system. Suppose, for example, if company A in the United States wants to pay the company B in the India, what the company A will do? Company A asks to its US bank to send a payment overseas. So company A, which resides in United States, will contact its bank uh, for a overseas payment. Then the US bank partners with a correspondent bank to facilitate the transfer. So what the US bank will do? US bank will contact with the bank in the India, respondent bank or correspondent bank in the India, and that correspondent bank in the India will receive the funds, and then that bank in the India will transfer funds to the company B in India. So there are several agencies involved, sender, then the bank of the sender, then overseas bank in India. So every agency charges a fee. US bank will also charge a fee, and then Indian bank also will charge a fee, and each step of this process requires a time and money to complete creating to complete the transaction, creating an overprice and frustrating bottleneck. So for transferring the funds, it approximately requires 3 to 4 days to settle the payments, and if there is some error, there is some problem, to settle that problem, 15 to 20 days are required. So this is the bottleneck with the traditional cross-border payment system through the banking mechanism. So challenges, you can see among other sources, cross-border payments are vital revenue stream for banks. So the banks get the valuable revenue from the cross-border payments, and in 2015 the payments constituted 20% of the entire transactions in the payments industry. So out of 100 transactions, 20% transactions are cross-border transactions, generating 50% of the transaction revenue. So banks get the 50% transaction revenue from such kind of uh, cross-border payments. The international banks, the Global Payments Report 2009 revealed revenues from global payments amounted to $1.9 trillion, while transaction fee growth increased as a result of competitive and regulatory process. And the transaction fee for processing cross-border payments is increasing day by day due to regulatory pressures. So despite this, banks have continued to use old style correspondent banking systems such as Visa, Mastercard and Swift for international payments. So despite their inherent weaknesses, notably these systems are the traditional systems of transferring funds, transferring the cross-border payments are expensive, slow and complex. So pinpoints in the cross-border payments, or we can say what are the limitations of cross-border payments. So transaction speed, according to the McKinsey research and analysis published in 2015 on cross-border payments, it takes an average time of 3 to 5 days. It takes an average time of 3 to 5 business days to complete a cross-border transaction. So the time required to transfer the money is more. It requires 3 to 5 business days to complete the transaction. Then transaction cost. At each step in the process, fees accumulated. At each step in the process, the fee is required. Fees accumulate, including transfer from the sender's bank to the national and international correspondent banks and foreign exchange. And for high volume of cross-border payments, the charge is usually average 2% to 3%. So bank average for large volume of transfers, 2% to 3% of fee is required for transferring the payment. However, it can go up to 10% where payments volume volumes and values are low. If the payment is low, value is low, then it requires approximately 10%. This is very high amount that requires for transferring the international funds. So moreover, it is also not clear when institution even charge cost to a recipient. Then third bottleneck of the cross-border payment is transaction opacity. It is usually complex for participants involved in the transaction to track their payments while they are in transit. So when the payments are in transit, it is difficult for the sender and receiver to track the payment. So it creates uncertainty, both the final payment amount and scheduled delivery. So we cannot estimate when your payment is transferred, because we cannot track the payment when it is in the transit. So it also becomes difficult to quickly track transactions with the problems. If there are some problems, if there are some errors, then it also becomes very difficult to track the transactions, such as incorrect account numbers. So how we can use the blockchain for cross-border payments, or how the blockchain can benefit for cross-border payments, that we have to study. Blockchain is like a digital ledger, distributed ledger across the network, which stores information about each transaction made on it in immutable way. So we know that blockchain is a centralized ledger, and everyone has the copy of the ledger, and ledger is all the copies are updated at the same time. So when we do the transaction, when we do the cross-border payment, everyone can view the transactions, or we can limit, we can form a permission blockchain where the only authorized people can see that transaction. Identity of the initiator is hidden. So by using the blockchain, the payments can be settled immediately within the fraction of seconds. Within few seconds, we can transfer the international funds by using the blockchain enabled cross-border payment system. So for companies and people who make regular cross-border payments, blockchain can provide features like transaction security, transparency, efficiency, and speed. So according to a Deloitte study, blockchain can enable institutions and individuals to make transactions in less than 5 seconds. So we can complete the transaction, we can settle the payment in less than 5 seconds by using the blockchain with reduced cost, very low fee, or we can see there is no fee, without any fee or very less fee. We can transfer the money within the in less than 5 seconds. Using blockchain for cross-border payments can make companies pay either single fee or either nothing at all, no fee. It will prove beneficial for international businesses that send payments across the geographies regularly. So the companies will send the overseas payment, international payment regularly. That companies can benefit from the blockchain. Payments can be settled immediately and at very low fee, or we can say very uh, minimum fee, or we can say no fee at all. So how blockchain benefits in cross-border payments? So there are different benefits of the cross-border payments using the blockchain. You can see cost efficiency, fast settlements, uh, strengthened security, and transparency and visibility. These are the benefits of uh, using blockchain for cross-border payments. So we will see these benefits one by one. So you can say cost efficiency. Cross-border payments become expensive because banks often do not have direct relationship with one another in a global scenario. So we have to use the different agencies, different agents for transferring the money, foreign exchanges, and banks don't have the direct connection. Then they turn to banks go to the intermediate agencies or intermediate banks to make the indirect fund transfer, and the intermediate bank levy a fee for this service, which that fee is deducted from your transfer amount. And blockchain experts suggest that Stellar is a blockchain like a Ripple and Stellar are the solutions, blockchain solutions that can be used for international payments. So we will see in the next slides how the Stellar and Ripple already we have studied in the unit 5. So how Stellar and Ripple can be used for cross-border payment services. So blockchain experts suggest that Stellar blockchain development services can provide efficient payment solutions while eliminating the need for intermediate agencies, and it reduces the fees for sending the cross-border payments dramatically. The fee paid by transaction parties is then limited to charges levied by the distributed ledger technology based solution operator. So they are very low fee. With very low fee we can transfer the funds. The fee is required for the technology provider that may charge some free distributed ledger technology operator like Stellar and Ripple. They can charge very less fee, but transactions can be settled within few seconds. So this is the benefit of the blockchain enabled cross-border payment. So according to the reports, banks experienced 40% savings on average using the blockchain solutions like Stellar and Ripple for cross-border payments. So if the banks use the blockchain solutions like Stellar and Ripple for cross-border payments, then the banks experience 40% of saving on such kind of international payments, international fund transfer. So this is the benefit of blockchain. Then the fast settlement. Next benefit is so according to an R3 report, it takes 2 to 5 business days to make a cross-border transaction that involve intermediate agencies. And a significant then other problem with the cross-border payments in traditional way, the time zones are different. US bank is operating in different time zone, Indian bank is operating in different time zone. So when we do the such kind of payments in different time zone, so we have to do the operations, we have to think when the bank in the US is operational, so that things also delay the transfer of funds. So significant time zone difference between two involved currency jurisdiction plays a crucial role. It requires a remitter to transfer funds through the relevant regional payment system. The remitter also needs to consider the working hours of these systems that vary across the international time zone. So when we transfer the funds, we have to consider the working hours of the banks in different countries that vary across the international time zone. So Ripple platform for blockchain solution boast transaction times of between 2 to 5 seconds. So by using the Ripple platform, we can settle the transactions, we can settle the international payments, fund transfers between 2 to 5 seconds, and currency transaction made through Ethereum blockchain solutions operate with an average of between 50 seconds to 4 minutes. So this time is very less as compared to the 3 to 4 days time of traditional way of transferring funds. Then strengthened security. Blockchain has more advanced security mechanism. It uses the cryptography algorithms. Also, it uses the hash values. It is very difficult to tamper the ledgers. Once the transaction is recorded in the ledger, we cannot alter the ledger. We cannot change the blocks. So with blockchain, all transaction records are secured by cryptography, are tied to previous transactions and distributed among participants in a ledger. To tamper with the data, a hacker would have to alter all earlier transactions in the ledger. So if the hacker wants to tamper the data in the block, the hacker has to modify all the previous blocks, all the previous transactions, making a blockchain very impenetrable. So it is not difficult to penetrate the blockchain. It is not easy to tamper the blocks in the blockchain, because we have to change the every transaction every block, because blocks are linked through the hash values. And if we try to change any transaction, the Merkle root will change, that we have studied. So by verifying the Merkle root, we can come to know whether the block is tampered or not. So CIO reported that global governments, banks and other institutions have been rigorously testing blockchain solutions at scale and finding them remarkably secure. So the international global payment system that are finding these blockchain solutions for cross-border payment system is remarkable secure as compared to the traditional way of transferring funds. So blockchain is the future of cross-border payments. Companies that realize its potential and begin exploring the ways to incorporate it will have a distinct advantage over the competitors. So companies are trying to use this blockchain to take the advantages over their competitors who stick with the traditional banking system, traditional way of transferring funds that requires 3 to 5 days to settle the payment. Transparency, blockchain eliminates. We know that the blockchain is very transparent. Everyone has the copy of the ledger. Each node has the copy. Everyone can see the transactions in the ledger. So it is very difficult to tamper the blocks in the blockchain. Blockchain eliminates the risk of discrepancies in record keeping. As a decentralized ledger, it holds a verifiable and irreversible record of every transaction and distributes it for all authorized users to see. So the ledger is distributed to every node. Everyone can see the ledger. Financial records are not maintained by a central institution, so there is no need of central institution. Direct transfer of funds can happen. The ledger is maintained and updated communally by a group of connected computers, and all parties have an identical. Every party has an identical copy of the ledger. So company A in the US and company B in the India see the exact same information in one place at the same time, instead of in 5 databases in different cities. So at the same time, company in India and at the same time company in US can view the ledger and find the exact state of the ledger, and at the same time the ledger can be updated at every place. So this is the benefit of the blockchain, which provides the transparency and visibility of ledger to every peer on the network. Then there are two solutions for cross-border payments that we have already studied. Ripple, by using the Ripple we can do the cross-border payments, and one more method, that is Taylor. Other methods are also there, but I will take the review of these two methods. Ripple already we have studied in the unit 5. Ripple is an open source distributed ledger technology based system for instant payment. So Ripple is an open source distributed technology for transfer of funds at minimal transaction cost. It provides the lowest feasible fees for cross-border payments. So Ripple's cross-border payment products designed for banks is known as Xcurrent. Xcurrent is the system of Ripple for cross-border payments, and it does not require Ripple's native token XRP, which makes it possible to process cross-border transaction within seconds at low operation cost. So we can settle the overseas payment, international payment within few seconds at low operational cost. So this is the benefit of using Ripple for overseas payment, or we can say cross-border payments. Ripple in today Ripple launch line of credit, a new data service on RippleNet that allows customers using on-demand liquidity to source the digit capital on demand to initiate the cross-border payments at scale using the digital asset XRP. So to transfer the payments in your account, you must have sufficient funds. So for that purpose, Ripple provides a on-demand liquidity to the source capital. So this liquidity can be made available on demand, and limited access to working capital is one of the biggest barrier to growth for many companies. But this limited access, this limitation can overcome. We can overcome this limitation by using the concept of on-demand liquidity in Ripple. Then another solution, blockchain enabled solution for cross-border payments is Stellar. Stellar is also an open source decentralized protocol for digital currency, for direct fund transfer, overseas fund transfer, or you can say cross-border payments. So Stellar is an open source decentralized protocol for digital currency to flat money transfers, which allows cross-border transactions between any pair of currencies. Stellar is a payment network based on blockchain technology uh, and a novel consensus model. So this Stellar uses a novel consensus algorithm model called federated Byzantine agreement algorithm. FBA works by creating quorums of trusted parties. So we have studied what is the quorum. Quorum is a group of nodes uh, involved in the consensus mechanism. So Stellar consensus protocol is an implementation of federated Byzantine agreement algorithm, which can eliminate the Byzantine faults. So there are four properties of the Stellar decentralized control. This allows participation by anyone without any central party. So there is no any central party or third party controller which will control the overall operation. So this will allow anyone to participate without any central party. Then low latency. This addresses much desired requirement of the fast transaction processing. The transactions are processed fast. They have very low latency time. Then flexible trust. This allows users to choose which parties they trust for a specific purpose. So by using this concept, flexible trust, we can select the parties on which we can trust for a specific purpose. Then asymptotic security. This makes use of digital signatures and hash functions for providing the required level of security on the network. So these are the properties of Stellar. Then Stellar network allows transfer and representation of the value. Stellar allows the transfer of funds, transfer of value of an asset by its native digital currency called lumens, abbreviated as XLM. Lumens are consumed when a transaction is broadcasted on the network, which server as a deterrent against the denial of service attack. At its core, the Stellar network maintains a distributed ledger that records every transaction and is replicated on each Stellar server. So distributed ledger maintains the copy of the transaction, and this ledger is replicated. This ledger is duplicated on every Stellar server. Every server has the copy of the this distributed ledger. The consensus is achieved by verifying transactions between the servers and updating the ledgers with updates. So Stellar can also act as a distributed exchange order book by allowing the users to store their offers to buy or sell currencies. So these are the two blockchain enabled solutions for cross-border payments, Ripple and Stellar. Other solutions are also there. You can go on the internet and find different blockchain enabled cross-border payment systems. So students, in this session we have studied what are the drawbacks of traditional cross-border payment systems. Then also we have studied what are the benefits of blockchain enabled cross-border payment systems. So blockchain enabled cross-border payment systems are faster, more secure, transparent, and we have also studied two technologies that can be used for cross-border payments. That blockchain solutions are Ripple and Stellar. So students, thanks for watching the session. In next session, we will study uh, one more enterprise application of blockchain. So thanks for watching session. Goodbye.